The government had mandated a 15% hike in rates earlier, but now it's a moderate 0 to 5%. Also earlier, we caught up with Shantilal Kataria, the president of MCHI-CREDAI in Pune, and asked him what kind of an impact this will have on the market. Let's listen in to what he has to say.
Considering the current scenario of real estate, this year they should not increase the ESR rates. We came to know that government is likely to increase the rates. So again we approached our various associations in Maharashtra, approached Revenue Minister and Chief Ministers, and they said that they will again recheck, and this time, considering the market scenario, we will not increase that much rate like we have increased in earlier years. Earlier it was ready reckoner. Now after intervention of High Court, it is ESR, that is annual statement rates. That means government has accepted that their procedure of working out is not absolutely correct. Why to pay more if my sale cost is less? Secondly, this increment in ready reckoner ESR rates by the government gives indirect benefit to the state government in terms of premiums, because in last 7-8 years premiums of various procedures are linked with the ESR rates, ready reckoner rates. On realty sector, because of the increment in the ESR rates, various premiums will be increased, which in turn will have to be paid by the customers. Secondly, if the transaction is of the less cost than the ESR rates, even then the purchaser will have to pay the stamp duty on the ESR rates, which they are not paying to the builder. So this artificial increment in the stamp duty and the premiums actually will be a burden to the purchaser.
Alright, remember, a moderate 0 to 5% rate hike has been mandated by the state government. Let's also get another builder voice in. I have Rohit Gera, Managing Director at Gera Developments, joining me all the way from Pune. Thank you so much for joining us here on Magicbricks Now, Mr. Gera. First question to you: is the government's mandate to revise rates from 15%, which was mandated earlier, to 0 to 5%, does this spell relief for both the builders and the consumers?
Sentiment is poor. Interest rates aren't really coming down. Developers are struggling to make sales. If you look at prices over the year, for the most part, prices have actually corrected. And in this situation, we should be thankful for getting a 5% increase.
Mr. Gera,
that's just
tell
ridiculous.
us, how justified is this hike going to be, considering the sluggish realty market and the fact that the government has to ensure it meets the revenue targets for the year?
Now, you're going to create further inflation by increasing the ESR rates, by increasing the ready reckoner rates, by raising the premiums that the government is going to end up collecting. It certainly increases their revenue, but it increases the cost to the developer. That increases the cost to the end consumer. Let's make sure about one thing: if the end consumer has to buy, homes have to be more affordable. The other thing about this ready reckoner system, it's completely flawed. You can't take an average rate in a location and make that the ready reckoner rate. The system has to be, you take the lowest rate and then you start adding to that to arrive at what a ready reckoner rate for a certain project should be. The whole concept of average is fundamentally flawed, because the affordable homes are the ones that are below the average rate. So the developers who are actually doing affordable homes at lower than the average market price, those customers are being burdened disproportionately. That's why I say it's a completely ridiculous proposition.
Alright, we also had the Delhi High Court come out with a recent order where in that region there could be a different way of calculating circle rates that exists in the region. Do you think this is a good alternative to the ready reckoner rate system?
There is a land rate, and then there is a rate for the apartments as well. Now, the land rate for a zone or for an area of maybe 10 or 20 survey numbers cannot differentiate substantially. But if there is a luxury project next to an affordable project, the land rate for the luxury project in the ready reckoner is much higher than the land rate for the affordable project. fundamentally the logic is flawed. Land rate is the same regardless of what the product you create is an outcome of the value that you're adding in the development. That does not increase the land rate for a certain project, but that's how they do it. And so there is a complete need to overhaul the way the ready reckoner rates are actually assessed and arrived at. There's no doubt about that. And unless and until we do that, you will find people which are in the affordable segment, which is the mass market, where the real need for homes is, which the government is trying to focus on, end up bearing the burden of this approach.
All right, taking into consideration the government's push for affordable housing, do you think affordable homes should be exempted from the ready reckoner rate system going forward?
I don't think this waiving of taxes should be done, but I think certainly rationalizing is the need of the hour, and certainly not unduly burdening one segment, which is currently happening. The affordable person, while the ready reckoner rate may be, the tax rate may be 6%, if you're buying 10% or 15% below the ready reckoner rate, you're actually paying 7 and 8%. Now you're buying an affordable home and your net rate of stamp duty is actually higher. Okay. And that's being borne by the affordable guy. What are you going to do about that? Certainly I think that there is need to relook at this.